My husband and I are both Democrats, but recently he revealed that in 2000 he had voted for George Bush. At the time, he owned a business and figured the Republican Party, historically the party of business, would be better for him. Here's my point. Voting is a self-serving thing. We vote for the candidate who will best serve our interests, or at least we should. And although we tend to vote along party lines, doing so is not always the best thing. The reason we can vote across party lines is this: voting is secretive. I didn't know who my husband had voted for until long after the fact. So how do you know who's best for you? Do a background check. What's his record? Get a character reference. Can you trust him? This year, I thought I would follow my husband's example and vote my interest. So I fact-checked each candidate's record and comprised this ballot. Down the first column, beneath each issue, I listed their record. At the top of the second column, I have written Obama. At the top of the third column, I have written Romney. Now, Romney stands for Romney, Ryan, Tea Party, Neocon, Super PAC, Republicans. Let me explain. I will always remember my Aunt Mitt. Yes, Mitty Ethel from Alabama, who used to boast about being a Republican because that's what President Lincoln was. During my research, I was surprised to learn that not only is the Republican Party no longer the party of Lincoln, it is no longer the party of Aunt Mitt, Uncle Ike, Nixon, or Reagan. Sorry, Aunt Mitt. There is a new breed of Republican out there. Congressman Ryan is the congressional leader of the Tea Party Republicans. They're the extremists who think women should be bound and gagged. The neocon Republicans is that warmongering national security group spearheaded by Dan Senor. He advised George Bush to go to war in Iraq. Now he is whispering in Romney's ear. They want to start World War III. Then there are those super rich, super PAC Republicans who are throwing tons of money to kick this black man out of their White House, no matter how much it costs. Where was all that money when Detroit and Ohio needed it for the auto bailout? I have indicated Governor Romney's record on the issues first and then President Obama's in bold type by putting an X below their name to the right of their record. An asterisk indicates there has been flip-flopping on the issue. This is a red flag character issue treated at the end of the ballot. I am sure the reason Romney flip-flops so much on the issues is because all of these factions, all of them, are pulling his strings. And that leads to this question. Would a President Romney be a puppet? A word about experience. Romney says no one should be president without experience in the private sector. Perhaps the biggest myth in politics is that good businessmen, make good presidents. Nothing is further from the truth. I learned this. Indeed, the converse is true. President Truman, considered one of our greatest presidents, was a failed clothing store owner. Herbert Hoover, a multimillionaire businessman, had total disdain for the poor and was considered a perfect example, and I quote, of presidential ineptitude. Success in business requires a bottom-line oriented person for whom people are expendable. That seems to be Governor Romney's formula. Buy the company, cut the cost by getting rid of the people, reap the profits, stash the cash, but overseas to avoid paying taxes, and hide your tax returns, realizing that Americans with their short attention span will forget. You can be rich and still have a heart now. Witness the Kennedys or Bill and Melinda Gates. FDR, Hoover's successor, was a shining example of a rich man with a big heart. His compassion for all people gave us the government programs like Social Security that we use today. No one, President Clinton said, could have gotten us out of all the mess President Obama inherited in just 4 years. The recession he inherited was the worst since Hoover's Great Depression. And it took FDR, not 4, not 8, but 12 years to get us out of that mess. 12 years, not 4. Now about women. Why have women in 2012 become objects to be voted on? Why should a bunch of men in Washington decide that Mandy Johnson in Des Moines, Iowa can no longer take contraceptives? When I was growing up, a friend of ours was raped by her father, and she had that baby. Abortions were illegal. Richard Murdoch of Indiana would have us believe this is what God intended. Women on a ballot. Can you imagine having Viagra a national issue? Or how about putting this up for vote? Should the names of those Johns in Kennebunk, Maine be publicized along with the prostitutes? And while we are on the subject, how did Elliot Spitzer get a TV show? And why is Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court? Women, wake up. If they're going to be voting on us, make sure they are voting for us. Although I have written my subjective commentary at the end of each issue, I assure you the issues are real. I put a lot of time and energy into the research. They have been fact-checked and they are objective. I invite you to draw your own conclusions, but whatever decision you come to, try to vote the matter and not the man. I believe you'll be better off. You may hit the pause button to study the ballot, and you may download and print it by following the link at the bottom of the screen. Okay, let's vote. And remember, it's your